Hi there, I'm Matt Keene. Welcome to Creating a Future We Want, the Evaluative Evolution series. Morning time. Sun's about to go right to my eyes. That should be interesting. Oh my goodness. Let's introduce you to the okra. The flower of the okra is the queen of the garden. Undisputed. Hopefully we'll see a few of those in a few days. One of the places that I like to surf is at a nearby inlet, and there's a little spot called Monster Hole. I'll let your imagination run wild with what those monsters might be. But out here, this inlet to where this giant, bay estuary drains out into the ocean. There's a lot going on out there. Boats are going in and out. There's not that much, but there are vessels fishing mainly, and there's buoys in the channel, and sometimes there's some military bases nearby. Sometimes there's helicopters that are going over. Some other surfers, sandbars, waves. There, I see turtles out there fairly regularly. Tarpon this time of year in the summer. Sharks, birds. Yeah, currents. The currents are very strange. And a nice calm day like today, where there isn't a breath of wind, no problem. But sometimes, especially if there's like a big storm swell with a long period, a lot of water can be moving. Add wind to that, and a whole lot more water can be moving, and you might be 400 yards from the beach, something like that. So you can get swept this way and that way, and it happens so fast you don't even know. Ooh, it's pricking me here. The okra, yeah, prickly queen. So there's a lot going on, a lot to be paying attention to, and then of course, ideally, you're catching a few waves here and there. It's like there's so much happening, and totally unforced error. Oh gosh, I was so annoyed. First of all, I was way out and injured my foot. And I looked at it. I'm like, oh my gosh, is there something stuck in there? Oh no, that's stuff coming out. Oh my gosh. 7 stitches, hour long car ride to get to the emergency room, a whole bunch of stuff. But I'll tell you what, my buddy Justin helped me get out of the water. A awesome dude, probably six. I don't know how big are you, Garrett? Were you 6 feet, 6'4", 6'5"? I was a little bit in shock, so I don't know. Carried me from the water to like a half a mile, something like that, to the car, out to the street. A guy named Tom comes out of his house. I've walked by Tom's house 500 times. Never seen Tom or anybody else. He says he's been living in that house since 1979. He did look a little bit pale. I was like, Tom, a little more sun, my man. You live on the beach. And he was like, how can I help? He gave me some paper towels and masking tape. I was like, this is good whether you have an injured foot or not. You can use this stuff all the time. My wife, my daughters drove me to the emergency room. Before that, buddy Justin drove me to the most laid back urgent care you've ever been to. Like, if there's an emergency, a true emergency, maybe not the best place to go to, but if it's like a few steps down, decent place to go to because it's so chill. Thank you to everybody, emergency room in New Bern. You guys, amazing. That was a lot of fun. I don't ever want to see you again in your workplace. Lots of is happening out there in the ocean, a whole bunch in the wilderness, and that's the way I think about it, right? That's wilderness. Like, you're far from it. Took quite a long time just to get back to the beach, to be honest. A lot going on. You know, the brain, I heard David Eagleman talking about this recently, neuroscientist. The brain filtering out um, things. Have you ever walked inside after a long time on the ocean or looking at moving water through the day, like on the water, and the ground or the walls seem like they're moving a little bit? That's left over from the brain trying to readjust to that movement throughout the day and filter out those patterns so that you can see the changes in the pattern, see the anomalies, the breaks in the pattern, just to make it easier, because the brain can't take care of everything. It can't follow everything. In fact, the brain, we've evolved to filter out so much of reality, or not develop the senses to even perceive big aspects of reality. I think we are yet to understand what we haven't been able to perceive yet. Just an example, right? You can't perceive like X-rays with your eyes. You know, our visual cortex evolved to deal with this tiny little bit of radiation we call visible light. So the brain's doing a whole lot of filtering in the wilderness because there's so much going on. Now, what are we doing? Our purpose, our interest, there's some deer over here. They're messing with me. Like, they see the garden and they just kind of hover around. And they're like, dude, the minute you forget to spray that fox urine around the perimeter of this garden, we're gonna eat everything. I lose sleep over this. Is that healthy? I don't think so. Maybe it is though. I don't know. So our purpose here, my daughters 7 and 11, my wife, me, I'm interested in the well-being of us, me, everyone, other, is to learn to evolve for our well-being through the na, to navigate the na for our well-being. This is our purpose. Well, I'm trying to figure out or spend a lot of time on what is the appropriate context or setting for that learning. I'm sort of thinking the wilderness is too wild, a laboratory maybe too tame. You know, maybe the garden is a good fit for this. But what are the features of the na, the accelerating coevolution of nature, humanity, and AI, technology, machines? And what are the features of the na, and what features need to be present in the setting in which we are learning? What are the criteria that we might use, might consider as we assess whether it's going to be a good match or not a good match, or that co-evolving match between our setting and our training, our learning? So checking my notes here, what I forget. Well, anyways, we'll just close it out with, feels weird not to make this video like 20 minutes too long. Close it out with, you know, the first thing that I'm realizing in trying to kind of consider what the setting is that's going to be a good match is clarifying the intention. You know, having a directed, intentional purpose for the learning is a fantastic start. And I don't usually do that in the wilderness, right? I'm not going out into nature with an intentional interest in learning. Maybe that's a part of the soft inspiration, which I'll talk about in the next video or two, and is in some of the writings on Substack. And Annie Murphy in The Extended Mind mentioned soft inspiration, and maybe it's mentioned many other places too. I don't even know where that came from. But we're talking about a more purposeful, directed, intentional learning, and we're considering the garden as part of our context for doing that. I'm Matt Keene. Thanks for visiting Creating a Future We Want, the Evaluative Evolution series. More later, lots of healing. Did you get that?